And it's wonderful to welcome our occasional film critic. He's a movie maker, a blogger. He's got his own website called julianshaw.com.au. The eponymous, if that's how you say it, eponymous? Oh, gee, that's hard to say. Julian Shaw, eponymous. That's what I'm trying to say.
There we go.
Julian, thank you very much for coming in.
Thanks, Deborah.
You've picked out a couple of movies for us. What have you picked?
Yeah, well, I yesterday I queued up and went and saw the new comedy Get Him to the Greek.
Did you have to queue?
Well, yeah, I paid $21. Geez, they're getting expensive these days, aren't they?
Wacko.
It was a VMAX session, which I guess is you get a more comfortable seat and that kind of thing. So I saw it with a big crowd, so I got a good sense of how people felt about it. And then at the kind of polar end of the spectrum, a very, very serious French film about the Cold War called Farewell. So we can chat about that one too.
Well, I'd rather go play it for laughs for the time being, if you wouldn't mind.
No problem. That's
and listen,
fine.
that $21.
I know.
$21. 1300 222 702. Who buys those seats? Is that the dearest ticket that you've know of, or are there even dearer ones? 1300 222 702. Julian, is Getting to the Greek funny?
Yeah, it is funny. You know, I mean, I really liked the film. I would say it's a little bit uneven, though. I mean, look, with comedy, it's pretty easy to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Did you laugh? I definitely laughed, but I went and saw it with my best mate, and we sat there, and I do think there was a good half hour where we didn't laugh at all. So that makes me think maybe they could have trimmed it, because it runs about 2 hours. To me, that's a little bit over length for this kind of film. But
I don't know. It sounds like the morning show, really.
Over length? What?
No, if you go for half an hour without laughing, maybe it's time to trim something. Let's have a listen to a little snippet from this movie.
Next month is the 10-year anniversary of Al the Snow live at the Greek Theater. We can put on an anniversary concert. He's rock music personified. I'm a motorist.
I want you to go to London and pick him up, then bring him back here for the show at the Greek. Can you handle it?
Definitely.
Some love.
I just want you to know that I respect you.
Well, there you go. That tells you everything you need to know. It's a plot that could have been written on the back of a beer coaster, and it probably was. Russell Brand is playing the rock star that you heard about there, a guy called Al the Snow, obviously, who's kind of been in the career wilderness for 10 years. He released a disastrous long-player album called African Child, and he's kind of fallen off the wagon of sobriety, and he's just living it up large, Keith Richards style. And obviously this film is about his kind of redemption as a rock star. He's got to go and do a gig at the Greek Theatre, the titular Greek Theatre. That's what the Greek is in the title. And it's all about the 3 days of getting him from London, out of the booze, off the drugs, off the heroin, and onto front and centre stage to perform for thousands of fans. Will he get there or not?
Now, let's find out, first of all, about the cheap seats. Jason?
Yes, Deb, how you going?
Pretty good, thanks, Jason. How much have you paid?
Well, me and my girlfriend, we paid $72 between us for 2 gold class tickets.
What?
Yeah, we went and saw Transformers about 3.5 years ago.
Even worse, you should have been paid to see that, mate.
Yeah, I agree.
Man, Transformers, dearie me. Look, I've got to take out a loan from the Commonwealth Bank to go and see a gold class. Mate, that's crazy. 72, wow.
Yeah, but I do agree. You do get a nice big comfy seat, and you can eat, and you can also get alcohol in there as well.
So it's quite civilised.
It is very civilised, and there's only usually about 60 people per cinema.
Now, how much? Obviously, the beer and the tucker is extra.
Yeah, and you don't want to know how much they charge for that.
But very useful when you're watching a Michael Bay film, I might add. Lots of booze really helps.
Yes, and the toilet breaks actually give you a break to get away from the film.
Jason, that you've given me such an insight. Thanks very much.
No problem, guys. See you.
No worries. Toodle pip. Jason there. $72 for 2 tickets to see Transformers.
Ouch.
Yes.
Boy.
No, but I interrupted you, and we were on this. We were with the rock star. We were wondering whether or not he was going to make a success of this.
Well, I guess you have to see the movie to find out. But look, it's a very simple plot. It gets overcomplicated in the execution. Now, Judd Apatow produced this film. Very successful guy. Love him to pieces. He's behind hits like Knocked Up and Superbad. And, he's a guy that isn't just trying to churn out comedies. He's trying to churn out comedies that have a bit of a thought process behind them and have real emotion. He's kind of mastered the bromance genre. You look at a film like Funny People, that was a very existential film. And this film, Get Him to the Greek, actually has a very serious underlining. It truly does. It's sort of touching on themes like addiction and family and fame, and in quite a serious-minded way. If anything, it gets a little bit too serious, I thought, in the second half. Russell Brand's addled rock star, he's kind of dealing with, missing his girlfriend. He's got father issues. As I said, he's battling the temptations of addiction. Pretty serious cocktail of stuff. And I think that maybe for such a simple premise, some of the scenarios and set pieces could have been pared back a bit. To me,
So is the wit in the script, or is the wit in the slapstickery?
the wit is in the brilliance of the two performances. I want to also give a shout out to Jonah Hill, who's kind of been a bit part player so far. He's really delivering here, kind of in the lead role. He's like the guy from the record company who has to glad handle Russell Brand's character and get him from London to LA. And he's magic. And the stuff I remember from the film are just like two shots, you know, the two of them just sitting there in the frame, chatting, riffing off each other, ad-libbing. That's the beauty of it. It's not the big kind of action set pieces and stuff. They're actually quite unengaging. But look, just in terms of the comic performances, brilliant stuff. And Rose Byrne, an Aussie, very funny too, as Aldous Snow's ex-girlfriend. And I've heard from a few people actually that she was the filthiest ad-libber on the set. That Rose Byrne would just come up with things that would, you know, make David Hasselhoff blush, basically.
What do you mean?
I can't go into it, but there's a... Put it this way, her character has a song about the joys of backdoor sex. I can't... Look, we're on ABC Radio. I can't go into it much further.
I hesitate.
You should. You should. That's wise. Don't get me started.
Good-o. Get him to the Greek, it's called, and it gets a thumbs up.
Yeah, it's, you know, slightly reserved thumbs up. I think it would have been 2 huge thumbs up if they'd trimmed it a bit. But look, worth a look.
All right, very good. Now, another movie that you've got called Farewell.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really tough one. It's a French film. The director's Christian Carrion, and it's a very sober, very serious-minded film set at the height of the Cold War. It's about a KGB colonel who kind of enlists this French engineer, turns him into like a super spy, and this French guy, played by Guillaume Canet, ends up kind of reporting to Western intelligence agencies, spilling all the beans on Soviet spying. So it's kind of one of those movies about the backdoor machinations and politics of the Cold War era, and genuinely quite eye-opening. Look, I'm not a history buff at all. I'm quite terrible with history. I found it quite interesting. You know, it certainly showed that era in a new light and perhaps told me a little bit about some of the stuff going on behind the scenes that I wasn't aware of. Not sure if it's the sharpest human drama. I wasn't so engaged with the characters, and therefore it gets a little bit muddled, all the political stuff, you know? You can only care so much if you're not rooting for any of the characters. And not to name drop, but I got to do a great junket with Film Inc. magazine last year, and I got to go to France and meet all these amazing French actors. And I met Guillaume Canet, who some listeners might remember from The Beach. He actually starred opposite Leonardo DiCaprio and was kind of touted for American superstardom, something that hasn't quite eventuated. And I said, mate, you could be a big star in America. What's kind of going on? And he said, Julian, let me tell you something. I make movies in France because in America you're either the villain or the stupid guy, and I rather make a good French movie than a shitty American movie. And I thought, mate, good on you. You stick to your guns. It's a good film, and he does a good performance. I would have liked to have seen him cut loose a bit more like he did in our interview, though. He's very restrained here. But look, also, if you like Willem Dafoe, he's got a supporting role. And even Fred Ward, who I remember from Naked Gun 33 and a Third, he plays President Reagan. So there's a few kind of famous faces peppered in there. Look, this is one for history buffs. Have a bit of a revisionist look at the Cold War era, if that floats your boat.
Righto. Now, in terms of the sort of subtitle experience, do you really get it? Like, does it feel like it's...
Yeah, and look, to be honest, like with this film, it's not exactly a white-knuckle suspenser, but there's a bit of action going on, and it's quite visual storytelling, so it's definitely not a problem. I had no kind of troubles with it. I think films that are really dialogue-driven, can get quite tricky reading all the subtitles, but this has a bit of visual storytelling going on, so it's not too much of a struggle at all.
Thank you very much, Julian.
Thank you.
Julian Shaw has been our film critic today, and you can look at more of his thoughts at julianshaw.com.au.